City Council meeting of May 19th has come to order. Captain, would you please lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance? John, lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance. Yes. Please remain standing for the moment of silence of the responders and military members. Please be seated. May I have roll call, please?
Roll call. Councilmember Baptista. Present. Councilmember Aguilar.
Present.
Councilmember King.
Present.
Mayor Pro Tem Garcia.
Present.
Mayor Summers.
Present.
For the record, council members, Mayor Pro Tem, and Mayor are in attendance.
Thank you. Before we continue, are there any staff members online right now that are not in the chambers? Please identify yourselves.
This Mario Gouveia, city engineer.
Okay. Anybody else?
Good evening. This is Vanessa Portillo, Finance Director.
No, you're in person. You're okay. So, okay. Anybody else that's not presently in the chambers but is calling it in?
Hey, Sam Danzinger.
I'm sorry? Are there any presenters online?
Yes, hello. This is Sam Danzinger with Forefront Power.
And Kevin Flanagan from SPURR.
Okay. Anybody else?
Hernandez.
I'm sorry.
Susana Hernandez from Wildan Financial Services.
Thank you. Anybody else?
Jackie Benoit, Recreation.
I'm sorry, repeat that.
Jackie Benoit, Recreation.
Hello, Jackie.
Hi, Gerpaul.
Okay. Anybody else? If not, then closed session announcements. There are no reportable actions. Direction was given to staff. Changes to the agenda. Any changes to the agenda at this time? Council? If not, we'll move on to announcements and reports. Supervisor Espinoza. You'll have to call in too, just remember that. This is
Okay, something. Hello? Hey. I'm okay. Good evening, council. Good evening, everyone. Hope everyone's safe at home. And I'd like to say that we had a board of supervisors meeting in Merced County today. And the board of supervisors unanimously voted that to move the variance, stay-at-home variance from to 2.5. And we did it, and we had to do another letter of attestation to the governor stating that we were meeting all the guidelines. And so we submitted that to the state. We had a mayor's meeting with the board of supervisors today, meeting as well. And since between 3 o'clock and today, I just received a text from the county CEO, and our letter has been posted meaning that we met the requirements and we can move into phase 2.5, but not 3.0 yet. So I know that I was reading the news, listening to the news, and the county of Tulare County, which has some of the highest cases in the valley, they did vote to go to 3.0 and going against the guidelines of the governor. So, they weren't meeting, but anyway, they moved ahead. So we'll see what happens with that. We also had voted on the second issue, a proclamation of a local economic emergency by our board. Let me just read a little bit of what the proclamation says. Non-essential businesses have suffered a major loss of revenue, goodwill, and local market share. The governor issued a resilience roadmap allowing counties throughout California to open certain non-essential businesses through stage 2 and beyond. And whereas 19 warn notices have been filed with the county accounting for 1,033 layoffs and furloughs in the county. 18,247 unemployment insurance claims and pandemic claims have been filed in Merced County from March 15 till May 2nd. And approximately 30% of the workforce in Merced County has been laid off or furloughed. And whereas over 100 businesses have been responded to the reopenmercedcounty.com survey, which opened on May 6, 2020, and such responses account for 610 layoffs, 48% of staffing laid off or furloughed, over 50% reporting revenue loss, of 50% of higher or approximately $1,400,000 in unexpected expenses. And whereas Yosemite National Park has been closed since March 20, 2020, and contributes a significant amount of revenue to Merced County. A little bit down, supply chain disruptions have had a negative impact on local dairies and other food and agriculture production. And also, whereas the aforementioned conditions warrant and necessitate the proclamation of the existence of a local emergency, and immediate action is necessary to mitigate the potential public calamity. And one of the other for you is proclaimed as follows, and I'm reading down to 3. Request that the governor of the state of California proclaim the state of emergency for the county of Merced and request that federal declaration provide assistance, including but not limited to California Disaster Act, Federal Individual Assistance Act, and U.S. Small Business Administration Disaster Declaration to assist with the economic recovery of the county and affected cities and districts within the county. So I have a copy of the draft, and I'll be glad to leave it so you can pass it around to the rest of the council. We also, during the board meeting, voted to approve an application for $300,000 to support the food bank with a 25% match from them, which due to COVID, there's been an increase in the demand for food from the public, which is, from the poor, is 4 times normal. So we're applying for some of those funds. I applied for a CMAQ grant through MCAG for a sidewalk project in Planada, project which has been in the books for a while. And hopefully we get that where it helps get that done a lot sooner. Also accepted an award of $2.5 million from the Central Alliance for Health for construction of the Merced Navigation Center and homeless shelter. That increased the budget by $1.4 million, for a total of $6.4 million of that navigation center that would help and benefit a lot of the homeless in here in Merced County. Other than that, that's all I got. In case you have any questions from the council or some of the public here.
Council, any questions of Supervisor Espinoza?
Yeah. Hello, Supervisor. I have a couple of questions. Can you speak a little bit about what the information sent or application sent to the state, to the governor? What did it, encompass? What did it say, or what was the plan for the county to move to the 2.0 phase or 2.5 phase?
2.5.
And what specifically, I want to know what safety precautions are going to be in place in regards to opening safely to the 2.5 and 3.0 phase.
Well, first of all, some of the statements were that we're not responsible if businesses move beyond. 2.5 means that restaurants can open to a limited extent where social distancing still is applied, and preferably it would help if they had outside seating or sidewalk seating. So we encourage sidewalk and outside seating, which is a lot safer, but also to follow recommendations from the county health department. I know partially from tomorrow's date, some of the schools might be able to open, but to some extent, some of the I don't have it on hand, so that's what I was stated by the CEO. So some more businesses, I know that the barber shops cannot open yet. That's probably in phase 3. Bars as well, and more gathering with groups. But so is there I don't have the total list with me, but I'm pretty sure that at least the bar, like I said, the bars cannot. So when I have that list, I'll be glad to send it to the whole council. Any other questions?
So with the good news that they were your guys' request for the county to move into phase 2.5, will you guys be making efforts to move? I'm assuming you guys will be making efforts to move to 3.0. Has that already been in progress, like work in progress? Are you guys already trying to tackle that? Communicate with the governor's office?
Yeah, I'm pretty sure we will. We just wanted to meet the requirements for 2.5, and I'm hoping that hopefully the next meeting is June 9th, which is probably more than a couple of weeks away, almost 3 weeks. So hopefully, if things go good, then we can have an authorization to move to 3.0, because I know that more businesses want to open. I know gyms are not on here yet, and other businesses. So it's just limited on the 2.5 still, but still, I know I had the list, and I didn't bring it with me, but I'll be glad to send it with you. And I know it's on the board's meeting. Yeah. So, thank you. Any other questions? Jose?
Yeah, Supervisor. As you know, Cozy Corner is not part of the city of Livingston. They're actually in the county.
Correct.
And they're designated as a bar, and they're open. And it's my understanding that based on the letter that was sent out by the sheriff, that he wasn't going to do any enforcement. So I don't know if you wanted to give some additional information or clarification. So that way, as people see that kind of activity, that they understand what the dynamics are.
Yes, as I understand, the sheriff is not enforcing. So also what we said at the Board of Supervisors meeting, any other business that wants to open that's not in the 2.5, is if it's 3 and beyond, the county is not enforcing, but if they're at their peril, if the state comes in and takes your license, then they're going at their own mercy. It's at their own will. We're not enforcing that, but it's up to every business that is not met yet. If they want to move beyond the 2.5, then their licenses, they're playing with the license. So, we don't know if the state will eventually come down, but we're not, the county is not enforcing, Cozy Corner, and then if the sheriff doesn't include it, because ABC can come down at any time and take his license away, and then they'll be shut down. So just like that for any other business as well. Okay? Is that all the questions?
Thank you, Supervisor.
Yeah.
What criteria
Yeah, unfortunately, those are the guidelines that come down from the governor and his team and the health officer that works under him. He's got the team, and the whole team is picked by him. So our health officers of every county have to follow those guidelines. If not, then like I said, we get dealt with. Correct. Well, eventually he does. That's why a lot of people are upset. A lot of businesses are upset that he's the deciding point. And he says, well, they're playing politics, but we're not. We're supporting the business, and we're encouraging people to be safe too, not just the business. We're encouraging people to stay at home, be safe. And on that side, so like I said, if you don't want to go outside, don't go outside. We're both doing both sides. The county is protecting people that want to be staying home, following the rules. But if people want to go out and go to any business, that's fine. In regards to the businesses, that's who the state determines. I think everybody read about Elon Musk. So he opened up his manufacturing of the Tesla vehicles, and so he's going against the state, and they haven't shut him down. So it's just he was an essential, but like you said, the big box stores are essential, and they have the clothing, they have the shoes, and yet our local stores that have clothing and shoes can't open. So that's unfortunate, and he's the one that determines that. So yeah. Okay. I think that's all questions. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Staff announcements to report. I don't have anything to report.
No reports to the fire department.
Police department, anything to report? Yes.
Captain Soria, interim chief, Livingston Police Department, good evening, council, mayor. I'd like to just talk about one thing. I mean, something that, it's unfortunate, but I don't know if you've been reading the papers over the last 3 months. The city has had 4 shootings, 2 of which where people were injured, 1 of which we actually responded to, and there was evidence of it, but no one was injured. And then we actually have 1 homicide. I just want to talk about this for a moment and let the citizens know that we are doing everything we can to try to bring these individuals to justice. We have called and relied on some other agencies to help us do follow-up. We're working all 4 of them, actually. Every day, our detective is busy doing everything he can on every lead that he possibly can do. We have our task force guy working on it as well. And I just want to reiterate to the public that even though this has happened and we have not had anything in quite some time, it's actually been several years, this place is still safe, and we're going to be here for them. And we're going to continue to keep doing things to make sure that this city is safe. We're going to do some more things, and I know with the onset of this COVID-19, a lot of agencies kind of backed off on other, I shouldn't say, actual, like our routine patrols. We continued that. But there was other things that we kind of held back so we wouldn't infect the employees and have them taken away and go down. So basically, what we end up doing is now I'm directing my staff to basically, we're going to start being proactive again. And what we want to do is we want to make sure that we're out there. We curb this, that this does not happen anymore. One other thing is that I've noticed, and I've noticed this in the past, and I do understand the fear from the citizens is that each and every one of us has to see what's going on in their community. We can't be everywhere. We want them to be our eyes and ears. We want them to call in things if they see things that are suspicious. If we do not care how trivial they may think it may be, because it may be something that we go out and we stop, especially the things that are at night that are going on. People parking in the parks, things like that. We just don't happen to get around there. We want people, and we encourage people to actually call in and let us know what's going on. And we can go up and just make contact with them, and we're not going to stop them. We're not going to do anything. We're just going to ask them what they're doing. But that's how things get stopped. And that's what I want to reiterate to the public is we're going to do our part, but we would like them to do theirs as well and inform us. And together we can curb things like this. I do not want, I have one more year, and I don't want that on my record going down like that. I lived in that era, and I'm working here, and I don't want that coming back. So we're going to do everything we can and to make sure that this is a safe community. If anybody also out in the public has any questions, I've always said this, if anybody has any questions about the way we do things, please call me. My number is out there. My direct line is out there. I am more than transparent about the way we do things. Obviously, there may be some things that we can't talk about and discuss, but I am more than willing to actually sit down with people and tell them, hey, this is why we do what we do. And lastly, I want to just really praise every one of the citizens here in the community for this COVID-19 things and how they stepped up and actually made our jobs that much easier by following the orders. I want to say that this city did far better than a lot of what I saw. I live in Merced. I'm not taking anything away from them, but I saw here every day how these people here stood by and basically followed the orders. So that's what I want to praise the citizens and also my staff for doing a great job. So if you have any questions regarding anything, please ask.
Council, any questions for PJ?
Yeah, I have a question.
Yeah.
First of all, I thank you for all the hard work your department puts in every day. I'm glad to hear that you guys are going to be proactive to address the recent shootings and such activity. Do you have any clue or any ideas why the increase in these type of violent activities in the city?
Each one, we don't think we're connected. I can't say. It could have been because of what was going on with the COVID-19, but I really, there's no way to actually measure that, so I really can't. I would be speculating. I know a lot of it, I was talking with other agencies, they said that, hey, at the onset, they saw that the crime was dropping, and then they started seeing it rising. Okay, because they started seeing that you have the no bail, where these guys knew that, hey, they weren't going to be booked. Things getting kicked out from jail. So those things, I think, as time went on, you started to see more and more like things like fraud, things where people are calling people up and saying, hey, we're doing testing for a fee, things like that. And the criminal organization, they're going to find any way to try to make a dollar. And as this carried on, that's when you start seeing it rising. That's the only thing I can say. I can't be for sure whether or not it was all this COVID-19. We didn't really hold back, but I mean, there were certain things that we didn't do, like we normally do, where you see a bunch of us out in groups where we're doing certain operations. Could have that been it? Yeah, it could have been. But we're going to get back to it and make sure that this doesn't occur anymore.
Thank you. Quick other questions. The resource officer and the MAPS, it's called MAPS, right?
Yeah.
The officer, have they been contacting any of the students or trying to stay in the loop of what's going on? Can you give us a little update?
At the onset of the COVID-19, they basically were told that they were not going to make in-home visits. Over the last, I think it's been 3 weeks to a month, that they're back to doing that. Yes.
Thank you. Appreciate that.
Okay.
Let me see. I believe that. Oh, in regards to your SPURR program, how activities have they been going on, or
we actually stopped that because there were kids, and I know some families feared, for their kids. So we basically stopped that because we did not want to infect them. And plus, the other thing is we did not want to bring them into the police department and further any type of spread of the virus.
Council, any questions of Chief?
Yes, I got one. This is Dr. Buchanan. Hey, Chief, thanks for doing a great job. Really appreciate it. I have a sense with COVID-19 going on, the schools being closed. Are the school resource officers actually patrolling the streets right now, or are they helping us out, or are they just sitting in front of the schools?
No, actually what they're doing right now is from the onset, they were helping the schools. They were patrolling the schools. The schools actually pay their salary, so that's where their dedication was to. When the schools started coming around doing things like they were giving out lunches during the morning and breakfast, they were watching those areas such as that. Now that they're kind of getting a little bit more active, especially with graduation, they are pretty much dedicated to the middle school and the elementary schools as well as the high school. And also I just slipped my mind right now. Yes, the home visits, yes. They had started that back up within the last 3 months where they're actually going out with staff and doing their home visits again.
Thank you, sir.
Oh, the question? The question was, what are the SROs, the school resource officers, doing? Are they patrolling the streets, or are they still doing stuff in the schools? Yeah.
Council, any other questions of Chief? Thank you. Public Works? Finance? Anything to report? Are you called in?
Yes. Okay. Sorry. Good evening, Mayor, council members, city staff, and the public. Vanessa Portillo, Finance Director. I just wanted to share with everybody that the Finance Department, in partnership with the City Departments, is working on bringing to the council in June fiscal year 2020-2021 budget for your consideration and adoption. We just wanted also to share that this budget is by no means a final product. Rather, it will be a work in progress, since we have so many variables that we're working on, and we feel that bringing this budget to you for review, it will become a point of reference as we navigate through this, the economic impacts that the pandemic will be bringing to the city. So we will have that for you in June.
Council, any questions of finance? Thank you. Legal, any comments?
Nothing tonight, Mayor.
Okay. Ms. Benoit, anything to report?
I do. Good evening, everyone. It's great to be back in the office to see everybody, and I've missed the community, and I'm ready to get things rolling again. I did want to let you know that we have decided to cancel our baseball season with requests for the funds back and people needing money and not really knowing for certain how things are going to go. We just felt it for the best interest of the kids and the families that at this time we'll postpone it and just leap into next year gangbusters. We are looking at starting our soccer registration, and we've already been discussing social distancing with the city manager and trying to really come up with some creative ways that we can be safe but offer recreational activities still to our wonderful community. And that's all I have to report.
Thank you. Council, any questions of recreation? Well, thank you. Hold on. Mr. Ramirez?
Yes, Jackie, if you could please inform the council that you're going to be working real closely with the Recreation Commission to come up with very creative opportunities for our youth and incorporating, this new world that we live in, which is with the social distancing. So, as part of the budget process, because it's going to be dynamic, and so it's going to require, participation from the public and, of course, our recreation commissioners and so forth and so on.
Yes, thanks, Jose. So we actually have already put the word out to have our rec commission be putting their thinking caps on and kind of explore too what other communities are doing, but also think of unique ways that we can help the public and making things cost effective and what we can offer at an affordable price to our community and still be able to cover our costs. So you'll be hearing from us at the next council meeting, actually, on some of the creative things that we have come up with, just to keep you in the loop so that you can be able to relay that to our citizens when they ask you.
Thank you, Jackie. Any other questions? Jackie? If not, thank you very much. Engineering? Anything to report?
Thank you. Yes, thank you, Mayor, Council, City staff, and members of the public. Just a couple of things. We are continuing with the construction of the improvements at the well 16. It's going just fine and it's on schedule. In terms of the Winton Parkway project, we are having a pre-construction meeting in 2 days on Thursday, so that will be starting soon after that. I will let you know at the next council meeting and give you an update. And that's all I have. I'll be glad to answer any questions.
Council, any questions of engineering? If not, thank you very much, and I'll move on to City Manager's report.
Yes, Mr. Mayor and Council. You heard some of the good news that was shared by our supervisor. So we've been anticipating moving into the second phase of phase 2, but not quite phase 3. And so, I was able to communicate to some of the dine-in restaurants that were anxiously waiting. And yes, we're very proud of our community because they have worked together. They've been steadfast and being patient, and we've been able to supply them with a lot of the items that they need to be able to carry out the social distancing protocols. So I'm going to continue to communicate out and help the businesses so that they can open up with modifications. But we're also looking at providing quite a bit of flexibility because we want to make sure that they're going to be because of the social distancing requirements indoors, they're not going to be able to serve as many patrons as they really need. And so we are going to encourage them to have outside dining. And how that's going to look like is going to be different for every business. So we're going to work with each individual business so that we can assist them and they can massage it to the point where it makes sense. So that's the flexibility I'm talking about. Again, if any of the business needs face masks or needs, in this particular case, disinfected because they're hard to get, we in the city, since day one, have been able to provide the businesses in general, but also residents if they can't get any. We're more than happy. You can call City Hall, and we're more than happy to make arrangements for that. So, as it relates to those who are on phase 3, I know that our beauty salons and barbershops are also super anxious to get going. I know that they're ready because we've been working with them to make sure that they have a plan in place so when the green light is given that they can get going. So again, Council, I'm very proud of the community in regards to all of that. If there's any questions related to the checklist that was issued to the dine-in restaurants, please let me know so that I can assist you. I've read it back and forth, and that way we follow everything in the checklist document that was actually provided by the state OSHA. Okay. In addition to that, changing the subject is related to we have the 4th of July just around the corner. Okay, Independence Day. So we're going to be sending out a notice in our utility bills in all 3 languages, Punjabi, Spanish, and English, just letting everybody know about what constitutes illegal fireworks. We'll send out this month and we'll send out next month just to let everybody know related to that. In addition to that, we are working really closely with the economic development side has not stopped. We've tried to accommodate all of the businesses and continue to work with those businesses that want to do business in Livingston. The good thing is that over 2.5 years ago, we started a program here, electronic program called E360. So we're able to do pretty much everything online. So people can submit, upload plans, we can review them, we can respond. All the departments get to look at them at the same time. So we save a lot of time by, not just passing on a set of plans to one group and then waiting for them to get done before you send it to the next group. Everybody can see it at the same time. It's dynamic. So we are continuing to move forward with the ARCO. They're currently in one of the partners is trying to buy the other one out, so that's why that one's stalling a little bit, but they're still committed to Livingston. We're working with another truck stop over there off of Hammett and Campbell called Moonglow. So we're moving along there. We have a meeting coming up with on Thursday with AAA Truck Wash. Want to get them going. And I mentioned at the last council meeting that we have a Domino's and a cell phone as well as a physical therapy that's going to open up over at Rancho San Miguel. That's all I have for now. If you have any questions, please let me know.
Yeah, we do, Mr. Ramirez. People are asking regarding our 4th of July plans. What are our plans at this time?
So actually, we're looking at one of our 4th of July kings is actually here in the audience, Mr. Valadez. We're scheduling a meeting to chat to see where we're going to go and how we're going to do the 4th of July, if anything. So I don't know if he wants to say anything at this time or if we could come back to that. So.
I was just asking because we haven't made any plans to cancel at this time, correct?
Well, at this particular moment, it's still up in the air because we're trying to figure out with our community partners to see if it's going to be modified, if it's still going to have it, if it's going to be modified, and or if we're just going to have the fireworks show and nothing else. I don't know. So we're going to be talking about that.
Okay. I don't want to put anybody on the spot, but maybe you can give us an update at the next meeting, please. Work with our partners and everybody so we can find out what's going to happen. Okay.
Understood.
Okay. Go ahead.
You want to give us I don't know if you mentioned the last meeting, but an update about the part we got, the grant we got for the fire department.
For what? For the engagement. You talked about Australian Park?
No, the fire department. The fire department card.
The card? Okay.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Oh, so, yeah, I know Juan's over here. He's been really anxious. He wants to be the first one to ride it out of the showroom. So, good news. We did receive the grant. It's been executed. So, we're ordering basically, I don't know, Brian, is there a specific name for that apparatus? Well, it's more than a golf cart. That thing is decked out with everything. Yes. So the good news, like I said, we got the grant. it's executed, so it's on order, and you guys can start using that fairly soon. Thank you for asking.
Yes. What I was referring to was an update regarding the money we got for using surface water for irrigation of the two parks. Can I go ahead?
Yes, Mr. Mayor. As you know, we're part of the IRWIMP, the Merced IRWIMP, and as part of our association with them, we are eligible to go after different types of grants. Specifically, this grant in particular is with the Department of Water Resources. So we applied because we want to take advantage. If you notice, the majority of our parks are close to some irrigation canal. It doesn't make sense for us to continue to use potable water, drinking water, to irrigate our parks. So we want to be able to have that flexibility to use surface water when available. And so we applied for some funds. We're going to get about $172,000, and that we're going to use towards the improvements and making sure that we can use surface water on our parks, and that's what the mayor is referring to. So thank you, sir.
Thank you. I haven't seen you switch park to park. So, go ahead. Somebody has a question? Mr. Malaga? Are you muted? Are you calling in? Are you muted? Okay, go ahead. Okay, go ahead. Go ahead.
Somebody answering City Hall's number.
Sorry, repeat that again as you came back.
When people call in asking for masks, is there someone calling them back? Or is somebody answering the phone live?
There should be somebody answering the phone live because it rotates until you get somebody. So anybody that wants a face mask can certainly, or disinfectant or assistance in any way, they can call City Hall. We're open for business, we're just not open for the public. So we're at City Hall.
Okay, last question. This was the questions I got regarding from everybody. Some of the cities are starting to open up City Hall. Do we have any plans at this time?
Yes, Mr. Mayor, thank you very much. So we certainly want to open up to the public. And one of the things that staff is doing right now is we want to make sure that we keep the public safe and also staff safe. So right now, we've actually gotten 3 quotes because what we're going to do is we're going to put some type of plexiglass barrier at the City Hall entrance for the public with a microphone system so we can communicate back and forth with the public. And we got some contractor, I'm trying to remember, I don't remember the name, but Anthony can certainly talk about it. But bottom line is that they're going to get going on installing this hopefully in the next 2 or 3 weeks. And I think that would be in coordination with Phase 3 and with the opening up of City Halls, across the state. So right now, we're providing full services to our residents, regardless of what it is, with the exception of being able to open up City Hall and work with them, face to face.
Thank you. Does anybody else have any questions for Mr. Mayor? Good. If not, Mr. Cousins, Attorney, you have anything to report? Councilmember Kang, do you have anything to report?
No, I have nothing to report.
Thank you. Mr. Aguilar?
Nothing.
Councilwoman Batista?
I just have just one thing. I do a lot of work on behalf of the Livingston VFW. Over the weekend, this past weekend, and going forward, I believe it was last October, I had given a flyer for our public works and available to the council about flag days, and realizing now, I'm still in shock hearing Jackie's report about
baseball. And hopefully there comes a plan in place. I'm just hearing that just kind of gets to me about what some of the realities are looking like and shouldn't have to. But again, bring back the patriotism to our community. I believe that right now would be a good time to put our flags out there, because I know that this past weekend it was really upsetting to me when going downtown they should have been. And one of our really honoring days coming up, Memorial Day, we will be flying them. The local post will be coming out, and on the 25th, and flying them through the 30th, which is the actual Memorial Day. I will also be in a small ceremony, because we usually do this. It's placing Betty poppies along the memorial cornerstone. But I would like the council to have the flags up from this day forward. Even if Memorial Day is coming up, we need to have them up. But I truly do need to see that we have some kind of unity within our community as an American people, as a patriotic community, facing these times where we're having to make some decisions coming down to us. I think we need to grow stronger that way. So again, I do have another list available for Public Works, one that's given from the VFW resource site. And again, I'd really like for our city to really be cognizant of these holidays that come, for us to show our pride in our town and in our country. So with that, when I was with VFW, I did my annual report for them. I do a lot of youth activities. Again, we try to be out there and just putting, if there are other members in the community that are veterans of foreign wars, come see me, or if you'd like to be a member of the auxiliary, come see me, because we do need to support our veterans in any way in this community. Okay. Thank you.
Was that for me? Yes, for you. Anything to report? No, negative. Negative? Thank you. For me, just want everybody to know that the business and the public, we hear you loud and clear about how difficult this is. Kids are frustrated because they can't go to school, they can't play, and they're full of energy, they can't do anything. Businesses want to be out there and provide jobs and provide services. There's kind of flooded by what they can and cannot do. I hear from our faith-based community, we heard from our chaplain here, and I hear from every faith, every denomination, when can we pray? And I wish I could kind of wave a wand and change the governor's mind, but I can't. We have to, we're not necessarily agreeing with the governor's decision, but we also can't give false information to our business and community to get them in trouble. We don't want them to do that. As much as I want to go this Sunday and go pray, I would feel really bad if the state came down and took action against the faith or a business. I would feel really bad about that. So I wish, I hope everybody understands, we as the city of Livingston, and I know I can speak to the council members here, we're with you. We wish we can do this right now, but we can't. And on the other side of it, if we jump too far ahead of the state, and maybe they have information we don't, we open up the churches, look the other way, somebody gets sick, even they could have got it from somewhere else. You know, it just puts everybody in a difficult situation. We just have to keep contacting the governor's office and bring some sense into them about what we can do. So that's what I have to say, and that's all I have to report at this time. Thank you. And moving on to awards, presentations, proclamations. This is a presentation by Sam Zanzer, Manager of County Municipality for Forefront Power, and Kevin Flanagan for the REAP Program Director for SPURR Renewable Energy Proposal Presentation. So go ahead with that. Mr. Ramirez, please.
Yes, Mr. Mayor and Council, just a little bit of background story so that everybody knows. It was a couple of years ago that we basically embarked on trying to figure out how we can save our residents in terms of overall energy costs associated with the utilities. So basically, we went out to an RFP. We had several energy companies that actually submitted proposals. We selected one. We went through this whole process. We signed a contract with Train. But I'm going to take a quick little step back. Of the three proposals that we received, of the three utilities that we received from Train, the utility stakeholders and staff was not comfortable with the wastewater treatment one. There was a return, but it wasn't as big of a return. So we decided to move forward with just with the general and the water side. So we left the wastewater alone. So now that Train is actually performing a lot of that work, we decided to entertain some proposals from some other energy companies and see how we can save money for our utility ratepayers under the wastewater treatment site. So Sam Singer and Mr. Kevin Flanagan are going to be presenting a proposal tonight that they went ahead and presented to the utility stakeholders. So with that, I'll turn it over to Sam.
Thanks, Jose. Can everyone hear me okay?
Yes, we can.
Yes.
Okay, great. Council members, mayor, city manager, good evening, and thank you for your time. My name is Sam Zanzinger. I'm a manager for Forefront Power, and I'm joined this evening with Kevin Flanagan, who's the manager of the Joint Powers Authority, SPURR. Before I begin, I would like to take a moment and just ask, I may be having some technical difficulties with the online stream. I just want to make sure that everyone has a copy of the information I'll be speaking about today.
Yeah, Sam, for your information, we have the PowerPoint. And we have it in a slide format, so as soon as you let us know, we'll continue to click it to get to the page that you want.
Excellent. Thanks, Jose. So with that, yes, I think if we're looking at the first page, I'd like to turn it over to Kevin Flanagan to speak a little bit, and I appreciate your guys' time.
Hi, good evening. My name is Kevin Flanagan. As Sam mentioned, I am a manager here at SPURR. So Sam is with the solar company that would potentially build the project for the city. I am with a joint powers authority. SPURR is a public agency. We're essentially a buying consortium made up of hundreds of public agencies statewide. We were originally created in 1989 by public school districts. And essentially our mission is to put together aggregated buying programs, a statewide request for proposals that really helps leverage our big buying power in the marketplace. As I mentioned, we have hundreds of public agencies in our membership statewide. We represent thousands of facilities, so we have huge buying power in the marketplace. And we have lots of different buying programs. All of our buying programs are focused on helping public agencies reduce utility costs. So we have buying programs for LED lighting, for telecom services, for natural gas procurement, and then I am a program manager for our solar and energy storage buying program, which is called the REAP program. The great thing about SPURR's programs is that any public agency, including the city of Livingston, can participate in our and piggyback off of the buying programs that we've put together. So if you flip to the next slide, what I'll do is provide just a little bit of detail on the REAP program specifically. So this is our program that focuses on solar and energy storage procurement. And it's a lot like our other buying programs, and then it's aggregating the buying power of our huge public agency membership. And it also takes advantage of our expertise internally. And we're really just trying to do 4 things with the REAP program. So number 1, we're trying to streamline the solar buying process. So you, the city, you ran an RFP for solar and energy efficiency programs a number of years ago. We also, as a public agency, ran a statewide request for proposals for solar and energy storage proposals. Now you, the city, can piggyback off of our RFP process and really streamline the solar buying process. So it saves you, the city, lots of time because there are incentives available out there that will not be around forever. And the quicker you get these projects built, the sooner you can save money. Number 2, because of our really big buying power, we're able to drive down project pricing, which ultimately saves public agencies like the City of Livingston money, which is really the main driver of these types of projects. Number 3, my team has been in the renewable energy consulting world for a while now, and we know that these projects typically require complex agreements. And so what we've done is not only secure really great pricing on your behalf, but we've also secured really favorable terms and conditions that will ultimately reduce project risk to the city. And then lastly, because we're a public agency, because SPURR is subject to the Brown Act, just like the City of Livingston, all of our program documents, all the bid documents are available to the marketplace to be viewed. And we're really big believers in the power of transparency to improve the marketplace. So what we did is we ran a statewide competitive request for proposals, an RFP, and through that RFP process, we secured pre-negotiated, piggybackable solar project pricing and terms for public agencies like City of Livingston. And the winner of that RFP was Forefront Power, and that's the company that Sam works for. Moving on to the next slide, I'm going to provide just quickly a little bit of detail about the RFP that we ran. So what we did is we ran a request for proposals for lots of different project types. If you think about the different flavors of solar projects that you've seen yourself, right? There are ground mount projects like solar farms, there are carport canopies that you might see at a school, and then there are roof-mounted projects. We issued the RFP asking for pricing for all those different types of projects, different sizes of projects like wastewater treatment plants, small projects like city halls and administrative buildings. And we had very specific includes, excludes, and assumptions so that we got apples to apples bids from the vendors. We received proposals from all the major solar vendors that do solar in the state of California for public agencies, and got great responses from those vendors. We evaluated all the proposals from those vendors. We interviewed their management teams. We evaluated their financial statements to get a feeling for their financial strength and their backing. And then, as I mentioned earlier, we ultimately selected Forefront Power as the winner of the RFP. And what we then did is SPURR, our JPA, our buying consortium, we entered into a master contract with Forefront Power. And that master contract essentially memorializes all the pricing, terms, conditions, all the pre-negotiated contract documents that are available to the city to piggyback off of and take advantage of. And then lastly, we extended the master contract with Forefront Power in late 2019 for an additional year. So the master contract is available for piggybacking through the end of this year. And through that extension process, we were able to secure even lower pricing and even more favorable terms and conditions. So on the next slide, what I want to do is provide just a little bit of background on why we picked Forefront Power in our RFP and try to give you some peace of mind about why they would be a good vendor for the city. So first and most importantly, they proposed very, very strong, very competitive pricing and terms. They have a really experienced team that's done a lot of work with public agencies across the state and across the country. And they have a very strong and stable parent company in Mitsui & Company, and this was really important to us. The solar industry is very topsy-turvy, and especially now as we go into a time of potential recession, it's going to be important. These are long-term projects for the city. And so it's important that you go into a project like this knowing that the counterparty, the party that you're signing a contract with, has that financial stability and will be around for a long time. There are liquidated damages included in the contract, so if there are construction delays, Forefront Power will be obligated to start paying the city. All of the renewable energy certificates, these are kind of virtual certificates that allow you, the city, to really market yourselves as green and sustainable. These accrue to you, the city, and not Forefront Power. We negotiated a really strong annual performance guarantee so that you'll have peace of mind that these systems will be producing on an annual basis. And if they don't produce the number of kilowatt hours that they're supposed to produce, then Forefront Power has to write you a check. And then lastly, what we're proposing tonight to the city is a power purchase agreement. But anytime during the term of the agreement, the city will have the option to purchase the system and own the system and take over the responsibility for the operations, maintenance, and performance of the system. And so we've built in flexibility into the agreement to make sure that you guys have that optionality later on. And so lastly, before I hand it back over to Sam, and Sam will really kind of talk about the project specifics that are being proposed for the city and how much money we think the city will save from the project. But kind of in summary, really, the benefits of leveraging SPURR's competitive process, the benefit of piggybacking off of the REAP program is that the city really has a streamlined procurement process. It helps you accelerate the adoption of these projects. You can accelerate the savings being realized by the city. You're taking advantage of our really big buying power in the marketplace. You're getting really strong contract documents that have really favorable terms and conditions, and so that you're therefore kind of able to reduce project risk, not only during construction, but for the life of the project. And then lastly, the REAP program has been used by lots of public agencies across the state, so it's not as if the city of Livingston is taking a chance on this or is being a guinea pig. This is a piggybackable program that has been used by schools, counties, cities, universities across the state, and we're really proud of our track record. And finally, the program meets and exceeds all of the procurement requirements that the state puts on public agencies for procuring these types of projects. So with that, I think what I'll do is probably hand it over to Sam at Forefront Power, and Sam can talk a little bit more about Forefront and the projects that are being proposed for the city.
Yeah, thank you, Kevin. Hey, so this is Sam Zanzinger with Forefront Power. Now that you're familiar with SPURR and this really innovative procurement vehicle, I want to talk about how we, Forefront Power, can really help further the city of Livingston as a sustainability leader, not just within your region, but throughout the state of California. As Kevin mentioned, we can really help the city get the value of an RFP without having to devote resources or staff hours to run and conduct an RFP. We've identified the wastewater treatment facility as a great site for an on-site solar project that will have meaningful savings on your energy costs. We also provide these projects as a turnkey solution. So what this means is the city is able to develop a project with no upfront cost. We also have system monitoring for our projects, so we're able to help connect constituencies to these projects and really help bring them to life. And also, our projects, as Kevin mentioned, come with the renewable energy credits. So this is a great way for the city to get ahead of any sustainability mandates that are coming down the pipeline. So on the next slide, again, as Kevin mentioned, this is a program with SPURR that has been utilized by dozens of public agencies across the state, and we've really helped a lot of them develop projects very similar to that that we're proposing this evening at the wastewater treatment facility. On the next slide, I just want to talk briefly a little bit about who Forefront Power is. So we've been developing these renewable projects for over a decade, but really our main focus is within the California public sector. We've done over 300 megawatts in the California public sector alone, and we were SPURR's winning provider for the REAP program. What really sets us apart, though, as Kevin has mentioned... Hey, can you all hear me?
Yes.
Hey, again, I think what really sets us apart is just our ability to effectively and efficiently finance these projects. We're a wholly owned subsidiary of a company called Mitsui. They're a 400-year-old energy infrastructure giant, and they really bring a very stable parent company and robust balance sheet to our partnership. So that gives a lot of public agencies comfort of mind that knowing that they're going to enter into a long contract with a company that, again, will be here for the life of the project. On the next page, just a couple of points. We've been working with staff to evaluate a power purchase agreement. Under a power purchase agreement, again, there's no upfront cost for the city of Livingston. We, Forefront Power, finance the project, design, construct, own, and operate in exchange for the city to purchase clean, cheap power from the project. Our pricing is fixed and flat for the life of the project and offers really great year-one savings. So this is a great way to kind of get away from PG&E's ever-increasing rates over time. As a private company, Forefront Power, we're able to monetize federal tax credits that are available for solar projects and pass that value on to you, the city. If you were to go out and try to develop this project on your own, you'd be leaving that value on the table. And ultimately, the power purchase agreement is great because of this aligned partnership. We make a large capital investment in the project, and it takes time for us to recoup that. So we want to make sure that the best system goes out with the best materials and really performs for the life of the project. You, the city, want to buy cheap, clean power over the life of the project as well. So together, we're really hoping to develop the best project for the city. All operations and maintenance are included, as well as Kevin mentioned, is industry-leading performance guarantee. So at each year, if the system doesn't produce at the baseline that we set in our contracts, we have to do a true-up and provide a reimbursement for the city and make you whole each year. So on the next slide, you'll just see a little bit of background on what work has gone into this project. Again, over the last several months, we've been working with staff. It started really with an evaluation of the historical energy usage at your wastewater treatment facility. We did a detailed evaluation. From that evaluation, we were able to put together some design work. We put together a single-axis tracker project to have the highest efficiency and highest production, which again gives the best value to the city. And then we went through a series of stakeholder feedback meetings where we got feedback and incorporated that into our designs. And then we kind of concluded the evaluation by just trying again to really optimize the value for the city, where we looked at the energy offsets from the project, whether energy storage provided value, and again just analyzing your PG&E tariff. Ultimately, we came up with a project that I'll share in just a moment, and went to the Utilities Commission to review. So on the next slide is the wastewater treatment plant project. So we're proposing a 634 kilowatt solar system, which will offset 93% of the energy consumed there, the optimal amount. Again, your pre-solar utility bill, about $230,000, and the project would save the city in the first year alone $65,000, which is about a third of the energy cost at that facility. And again, over the lifetime of the project, we're looking at over conservatively $2.7 million in savings. So with that, I'm available. Kevin and I are available to answer any questions about the project. We think it's a really strong executable project, again, with SPURR's favorable contract terms and really strong year-one savings. It's really a strong project for the city of Livingston.
Yeah, thank you. This is something we have looked at over the years, and I think there's a potential savings. So I think the county is doing something similar. Isn't that true? Is the county doing something similar to this? Yeah. Yeah. So I know the county does. I know one of the West. But the question I have, and I had to understand, is some reason PG&E decided to go lower rates than what this is. Are we protected in the future? Or are we tied into the rates?
Hey, this is Sam. I think the question was whether if rates go down in the future, if there's any savings protections or anything like that. Is that correct?
No, my question is kind of correct. If PG&E decides they've got abundance of energy, they're going to lower the rate. And you find out the person is costing us more, that we actually have better savings through PG&E or some other utility. Are we protected from this? Against that, are we tied ourselves into 20 years?
It's a great question. So what we're proposing is a fixed flat rate for the solar project. So the rate that the city is purchasing from the project, again, is going to be independent of what happens at PG&E. Just for reference, PG&E rates increased about 12% in the last year. And so, I think the trend historically is that PG&E rates continue to go up. And so, this is a great way to kind of have a fixed flat rate. Does that help kind of answer your question?
Well, kind of, but suppose they lower the rate and it's cheaper to do what's in. Are we protected against that too?
I can answer that if you want. So this is Kevin from SPURR. I can just jump in. The answer is to Sam's point, that the risk that you're really taking here. So people often ask, like, well, what's the risk of this deal? Like, how could it go bad? And the way that it could go bad is if PG&E's rates went down for many years, consistently, because you are under the contract obligating yourself to buy the power that the solar system produces at that fixed rate. So if PG&E's rates went down and down and down and down, you could potentially theoretically be in a situation where you're paying more for the PPA than you are for PG&E. And so that's really, the decision that the city council needs to make is whether or not that's a likely scenario or not. One of the reasons why we negotiated flat rates in the PPA. The PPA rate does not go up. The question is, and I think this is your question, what do you think, or what is going to happen to PG&E's rates over the next 20 years? Are they going to go down? Are they going to stay flat, or will they continue to go up?
Well, that's the question I have is technology changes every day. They could have much more efficient hydro systems. I know they don't generate their own energy, but technology can come so where these rates can be higher than what you can purchase on the market. So the question is, how confident are you guys that if their rates go lower than yours, you're going to match them?
I'm sorry. Could you repeat the question?
Yeah, I can repeat it. This is a 20-year PPA that you're looking at. Say in year 12, PG&E is actually lower. Are you willing to lower your prices to meet that stamp? If they're lower than what you offer.
So again, I think we try to price our projects in a way that ensures that we're going to have a rate that's going to be lower than PG&E. I don't think that I would be able to commit today to whether we could renegotiate a rate, into the future just based on PG&E's every, volatile rate structure. And again, I think to Kevin's point, this is kind of a decision for council to consider. We're offering a rate much lower than that of PG&E, and Again, I think the risk here is for the council to determine if you think that PG&E rates are going to go down in the future.
Okay, thank you. I'm gonna give it to my council members for questions. Councilmember Ayala, do you have any questions at this time?
Yeah, just a quick question. So the city wouldn't be owning any of the panels or any of that, correct? And then
We do give the land.
in regards to the maintenance of the panels and equipment, whose responsibility does that fall under?
Yeah, so operations and maintenance, as I mentioned, is included. So if a panel goes out or if there's a need to replace inverters or wiring, again, that is all on Forefront Power to manage. And just to kind of add to that point, we're really incentivized with a carrot and a stick to make sure that the system is really well taken care of. For one reason, again, I mentioned that we have this large capital investment into the project. We put a lot of investment into it, and it takes a long time to really recoup those costs. And so we want to see a system that, again, is performing at the volume that we say it will. And that's the carrot. The stick is really the fact that SPURR negotiated a very high performance guarantee that ensures that if our systems don't perform at the rate that we say it will, we have to compensate the city. And so if, again, there's any sort of outages or damages, we're out there as quickly as possible to fix.
Mr. Aguilar, any other questions? Councilmember Batista? Councilmember Tan?
No, I got no questions.
Mayor Pro Tem?
Negative, no questions.
Okay, for me, what is the difference between the price of power in PG&E versus the PPA?
It's a great question. It's over 10 cents different from your blended all-in PG&E rate from what we're proposing.
How about MID, Merced Irrigation District?
So this facility is actually on a PG&E meter, and so you pay PG&E here, not MID.
Okay, I know the presentation went kind of fast, but the city will be also committing some portion of our land for the solar panels, correct?
I'm sorry, could you repeat that, please?
The city would also be committing the next 20 years portion of our land, correct?
Yes. There's an area of the property that we've been working with staff that they identified as the best location to site the solar project.
Okay, so, that's all I have for now. I'll talk to council what we want to do next. You have a question? Okay.
Or anybody else in general, so what would be the next steps after this?
So this evening, this is not an action item, council. This is just, we're looking for direction and see if this is even within the realm of being palatable to you guys, so that we can, legal hasn't even really looked at the contract in its entirety. We didn't want to commit, time and effort on that aspect. So if this is palatable to you, then we would work with legal counsel to, kind of move this along, and we can have them make another presentation later on again if you want. At this point, we're just looking for direction. Again, you mentioned the savings, and if you go to, let me just talk a little bit about the slide that's currently being shown. That particular pond is a pond that can no longer be used at the domestic wastewater treatment facility. As you might recall, many years ago, prior to me arriving, there was a breach and then so that area was kind of decommissioned. I don't know if Anthony wants to share any more information related to that. So this is prime property for us to actually kind of, to be able to do something, take advantage, to be able to look at lowering or at least stabilizing the utility rates looking into the future. It would be really nice if this was under MID power, because MID power is actually cheaper, but unfortunately it's only PG&E power. And so based on the numbers and the presentation that was done at the utility stakeholders meeting from NG, they recommended that we move this to the council at the council level for recommendation. So at this point, it's just asking for direction. What would you like to do? Have another presentation at a different date, or work with legal to see how the contract would look like?
Okay, for me, before we make a final decision, I am gonna ask public if they have any input on this item. So if you do, please come forward. Does anybody have a question? Supervisor Espinoza?
Where am I, Rodrigo, at today?
Yeah, we looked through this before.
Yeah.
Remember one of your prior jobs, we looked at this.
Jose, you stating that if we went with MID, power would be cheaper, right? So what would it need for the city to hook up to MID instead of using the PPA?
And actually, thank you, Supervisor, because actually there's two pieces to this. One, it would actually require a state rule change to allow PG&E to split with PG&E with MID. So right now MID does not have the infrastructure there to be able to supply us with power, and it would be great if that was the case, because then we would certainly go with MID. But at this particular moment in time, you can't split the wastewater treatment plant in half and half be PG&E and half be MID. So it's all PG&E, and so we're currently buying power from PG&E.
Because I remember with the mayor, when I started in the council in 2002, we moved the service to the new homes. We started with MID because we had PG&E and MID here. Remember, Paul? And PG has always been a lot more expensive, and all new homes have MID. It's a lot cheaper. So I think that going to MID would be a lot easier. And I don't know why, I don't recall how we were able to switch to MID on the new developments.
Yes, Supervisor, you're absolutely right. So any well or any city infrastructure that we have, if we have the ability to interconnect with MID, we automatically do that because there's an instant savings right then and there. Unfortunately, at the domestic wastewater treatment plant, the power that's being supplied to us is by PG&E, and that's kind of what limits us from.
I wasn't paying attention to the whole presentation, but it's just the power that this power would be used, the PPA power would be used just for the plant or for homes too?
Absolutely, that's correct. It's just for the domestic wastewater treatment. Okay, so the power that we use, we would at the wastewater treatment plant, we would be buying from this power purchase agreement to directly impact the cost associated with the operation and maintenance of the wastewater treatment plant. And that's one of the major differences in Livingston, because that's the reason why we put out this RFP to separate apples from oranges. The general city facilities, because general fund should be general fund. One enterprise shouldn't subsidize another one. Here, the way we structured it, there is no. It's pretty clear, and so you can answer your question. Whatever power is generated and whatever savings, it'll be directly for the wastewater.
Okay. And I know you commented that power will never be used again, but personally, I disagree with that, because I remember when it broke and just the end, the tip on the top side, has to go the one that they broke it into the river. So if you go 20, 30, 50 feet in and just put a berm on it, and then the rest can be used. That's my opinion. And I remember when that happened, I know that Mayor Paul Crane was working for us, and that was that time, when it broke. And, supposedly it broke, but we understand. My feelings are different of how the situation happened, but I'm not going to go into that.
And that's correct, Mayor. And because of your leadership and others on the council at the time, you guys went ahead and purchased another 40 acres, basically what you see there in green.
Yeah, west of that, yeah.
Yeah. So there's opportunity here. And again, ultimately what we're trying to do here is, right now the ratepayers for the wastewater treatment plant are paying X. And we're always looking at ways to how can we, at least stabilize that or lower the rate so they don't continue to escalate over the future. Anthony, I don't know if you wanted to say anything with regards to that pond.
Thank you.
Yeah, just to share a little bit, council, members of the public listening in, that pond will not be used in the foreseeable future. That's why that pond was chosen. Yes, Supervisor Rodrigo is correct. It can be bermed toward where it broke and reused again, but it's not needed at this point. It's not needed in the foreseeable future either. This is where our plant is situated. We still have room to grow this way and this way. In our lifetime, we're not going to be needing that area right there. We will stay confined to this area and possibly this area in the future for future build out. We happy to answer any other questions, Councilman Harris, in regards to the plant.
Anthony, let me use your phone to be talking to.
A question on this, how big is this? How big is the pond? How big is the pond?
That would be a question for Sam or Kevin. They're asking how big is the solar panel? How many panels? How big is it?
Hey, yes, Sam here. I'm happy to answer that. So we're occupying a space that's approximately 3 acres.
Okay, so our district is a unit, and so there's power for each. And there doesn't seem like we need much space for the power design required. So the panel is the maximum power as well.
Yeah, so Kevin or Sam can certainly chime in on this, but this is specifically designed to meet the energy demands of the wastewater treatment plant for the city of Livingston. So the power purchase agreement is with them to generate clean power to us.
It was hard to hear, but so they will own the panels and maintain them at all times. And then the other question is kind of the same line of Supervisor growth. Sorry. Sorry. If in the future, let's say 10 years from now, you do get 2 units power from MID, have you taken that into consideration?
Yeah, those are things that we would actually have to look at. So in terms of the overall commitment, we've got to look at the contract. I'm sure there's an opportunity for negotiation here. Tonight is just a presentation. These are all very good questions. And one of the things that I actually brought up and mentioned to them as well, it was, you know what, because there is more space there, why not, you know, we're more than happy to lease some other property there, and you can sell power to MID, because as you know, by 2030, they have to be 30% renewable, and so forth and so on. So, very good question. We'll be able to, we'll have these discussions with,
Last thing is also keep in consideration that the panels we have in the future will be smaller, so they can get smaller as you know, time passes, the panels get smaller, so they can need as much space for more panels.
yeah, I could let Sam or Kevin mention it, but one of the things that I can tell you is we would only be purchasing power. So the way their proposal, they pay the design, the construction, the panels, the operation and maintenance, and after the 20 years, if we don't want it, they have to actually remove everything and leave the space like they originally received it. And so all those things will be looked at in the contract. As far as getting smaller, I'll allow them to chime in on that because I'm not familiar with that.
Yeah, absolutely. This is Sam speaking, and I apologize. It's difficult to hear some of the questions. So Jose, I appreciate you restating the question. It sounds like the question is if there's a technological, advancement, what are we stuck with old technology? And the answer, as Jose pointed out, is, it's in our best interest, again, to have the very best equipment for the reasons I mentioned earlier, the performance guarantee and the investment that we make. And so if there is a truly revolutionary technology or we see a lot of advantages in going with a different technology that's smaller, more compact, we can evaluate that with the city and make that determination. But again, because we're using tier 1 equipment right now, we're using the leading technology. We're really positioning the city to be in a good place for the foreseeable future.
Lastly, I believe that our contract with Indy, there is increments for certain time frames where we can renegotiate if necessary.
Thank you, Mr. Alden. Okay, anybody else from the public have any comments or questions on this item? If not, then, Mr. Anybody else in that?
I'd like to ask a quick question to Sam, Kevin. I'm not sure if you ran the numbers, but did you run the numbers possibly that would there be a significant cost savings if MID power was used at that location?
We would have to go back and just double check. It's going to depend on the tariff that MID would put this facility on. And so it's it's very difficult to know unless MID were to again actually determine your facility and kind of how much you're getting charged.
Okay. That was just a question.
Thank you. Bring it back to the council. What is the recommendation? Do we direct staff to proceed and come back, bring everything back to us? Mr. Aguilar?
I just have a couple other comments.
Cool.
Have we really explored the option of utilizing MID? Like I know there's a couple of hurdles and mentioned those, but have we really put an effort in see how feasible that could be?
Yes. Right now, the biggest hurdle that we have is PG&E is the sole supplier of energy for that area. So we would have to figure out a way to change the law so that we can actually have MID supply us with power. So if we approach our legislators and how long that would take. So there is a possibility, but right now it doesn't exist.
we could definitely look into it. That have not worked on changing something like that, but it's definitely not easy from what I've heard. But we could definitely look into it and report back on the steps.
I know there's obviously concern about the 20-year contract and the inability to renegotiate if the PG&E would drop their fees. Is there room? I know you said there might be some room to negotiate. Could there be, certain time frames in that 20-year contract where we could look at the rates again and renegotiate if need to? Is that a possibility, guys?
Hey, yeah, this is Sam. So I would like to definitely speak on that. So basically, SPURR has negotiated in their contracts the ability for the city to purchase the system in any year after year 6. And so if you guys determine that your rates are changing and you feel that you want to just, get out of the rate that you're buying or purchasing power from, the city has the option in any year to buy the system out and take over ownership. And that's really, I think to the advantage of the city. A lot of other providers only give you 2 set dates to do so. But again, our contract has a lot of flexibility and kind of gives the city that optionality. The other thing I would just quickly like to mention, we've analyzed wastewater treatment facilities in MID before, and the rate that we're proposing at this facility would save money in MID territory. So to the council member's earlier question.
So what staff would do at this point is we would continue to work with the other staff, and we'll approach MID again, and we'll work with legal to see if there's even a remote possibility. But those are the hurdles that we currently have.
And then I just wanted to, spend a lot of time on it. Like if you already know for sure that it's almost impossible, it would take a long time, I was just kind of a general question or. But can you talk a little bit about the utility stakeholders' recommendation, kind of what the discussions been in those meetings?
Sure. Yeah. So just as you guys know, the makeup of the utility stakeholders, we have Nick Jones representing the Livingston Unified School District. Captain Shell Rodriguez on there. We have 2 council members. We have Aguilar and Mayor Pro Tem Garcia. And then we also have representation, staff is on there, and we have Foster Farms is represented. So we have different representatives. So we went through some presentations, and we got to the point where they recommended that they present the council based on the overall savings, the $2.7 million over the course of 20 years. And the numbers, they were pretty conservative as it relates to their energy and savings projections, because some other vendors, if they project PG&E power to be a lot more expensive in the future, the numbers look a lot better. Okay, and we really looked at that and determined that, they're being Forefront Power and SPURR being very conservative in terms of how much they see PG&E power escalating, so that way we can representatively see what the cost saving is going to be over time. So again, for tonight is just a presentation. We have some more homework that we could do. We have some more side discussions. We can even go back to the utility stakeholders and hash out some of these things that you guys bring up. Whatever you want to do, this is just for discussion purposes.
And in regards to just in general, I think, it's always, the city's been looking for options. I think it's good to continue looking into it and continue, having those discussions, especially the utility stakeholders committee. But I would like to hear what the other council members or anybody else has anything else, suggestions or comments or thoughts.
Councilman Baptiste?
Again, I agree. There's
Are you muted? There you go.
I disagree with.
I can't hear you. There you go.
Okay, I disagree with what needs to happen here is that a lot of homework needs to be done. Everybody needs to come back to the table, have this for discussion, find out more information in regards to MID, and everybody that's just invested in this project. So again, bringing it back for discussion should have been mentioned a lot earlier.
Thank you. Councilmember Perry? Yeah, I also agree with Maria and the rest of the council. I think our staff needs to do a little bit of more homework and get back on this. But maybe we could talk about it next meeting.
Okay, thank you. Mayor Pro Tem?
Yeah, I'm on board with the other members.
Okay, and for me, I agree. We've been looking at this for a long time. There is definitely the potential for savings. We don't want to overlook that. So our direction to staff looks like it is to continue and bring back more information and maybe more analysis of, your staff analysis.
Real quick, could instead of a 20-year, could we do a 10-year or something,
There will be no people. Okay, okay, thank you very much. And we'll move on to the next item. This is a public hearing. This is a proceedings under the Benefit Assessment Act of 1982, Government Code Section 54703, for the approval to levy annual assessment for Livingston Benefit Assessment District conforming assessment to fiscal year 2021. Yeah, Susanna, you're up.
Good evening, City Council and City staff and members of the public. My name is Susana Hernandez. I am a project manager at Wildan Financial Services, and I joined the meeting to assist staff in presenting the action to be taken by the City Council on today's agenda regarding the Benefit Assessment District of the City of Livingston. The City of Livingston had previously approved the formation of the Benefit Assessment Districts along with the methodology of applying the assessment to properties within the districts. There is a total of 18 districts of benefit consisting of residential property. The levy and collection of the annual assessments is for the maintenance and the operation of the various drainage, detention basin, and street improvements within each of the districts. Staff has worked with Wildan Financial Services to assist in the preparation of the annual engineer's report. The details of how the parcels are assigned into benefit districts and the rates for each district are included in the engineer's report. The total proposed assessment for fiscal year 2021 is $182,127. On April 21st, 2020, the City Council adopted the resolution initiating the proceedings and declaring the intention to levy and preliminarily approving the engineer's report and setting the date and time of the public hearing for today. Now today is a public hearing. This action requests that the City Council open the public hearing to receive testimony. There is one resolution before Council this evening to approve the levy and collection of assessments for the City of Livingston Drainage Benefit Assessment Districts. Upon conclusion of the public hearing, City staff recommends that Council adopt the resolution approving the engineer's report and setting the annual levy of assessments for fiscal year 2021, which is the final step before being able to put it onto the tax collection for the next fiscal year. And I will be happy to answer any questions that the City Council may have.
Thank you. I'm going to go to the council at this time. Councilmember Kang, any comments?
I wanted to share something real quick before. Yes, I got a quick question. Is this regarding with the race of the park and lighting, or is that separate?
This is the benefit assessment district that pays for drainage and detention basin and street improvements within each of the 18 districts.
Okay. I have no questions.
Okay, we'll complete a minute, Mr. Ramirez. Mr. Aguilar, comment? Councilman Batista? Mayor Pro Tem, any comment?
I don't have any comment negative.
Okay, for me, I don't have any comments at this time. So, Mr. Ramirez, any further comments before from the public?
Yes. So, I know we're in unprecedented times, and, a lot of folks are kind of hurting out there currently. So one option that the council can actually contemplate at this time, in terms of, moving forward with this or modifying this as we move forward, is to not incorporate the CPI. Now there's a caveat here, because the benefit on the savings is not going to be for this year, it would be for next year, because this year is already in play. Okay, but we anticipate that folks will continue to be hurting next year. So if that's something that you guys want to entertain, then we would have to go back with our staff, and we would have to make some massaging a little bit. And hopefully there's not too much disruption out there in terms of the overall maintenance, operation and maintenance. But keeping in mind that we are in these hard times. So I don't know if you guys wanted to have a little more discussion on that, but that's something that can be done. And maybe, Susana, you might share a little bit of information based on what I just communicated in terms of being able to happen or not.
Sure. The rates that are set forth for each of the 18 districts are either at the same amount as previous year when the district does not contain a CPI provision, or are just a slight increase of 3.31% based on CPI to cover the cost of the maintenance and improvements that are needed within each of the areas. Dollars wise, just so you have dollar figures, it's an increase of between $0 and $4.07 on each property for the whole year. If the city council wishes to move as such, they need to move forward with a resolution to approve the levy and collection, or you could approve the resolution with a caveat of modifying the rates at a lesser percentage increase than the CPI, or at the same amount as last year.
Okay, thank you very much. This is a public hearing. So does anybody from the public wish to comment on this item at this time?
Yes, I got a question. Can you guys hear me?
Yeah, please identify yourself.
Hey, my name's Walpinder Kang, 657 Calero Court, Livingston, California. As she mentioned, there's 18 districts. Is there any way she can identify what the districts are? And then exactly, the other question I have is the amount of money that we're already paying or we're going to be paying. What is the maintenance on basins? Because all they do is just store water. And the second question is the certain districts, are they covering or are they paying for the rest of the town, or are they just paying for their own districts only?
And that's a good question. The districts are for improvements that benefit the property specifically. The amounts range depending on the budget of each district. Looking at the list, it ranges from the lowest is $17.20 a year to $122.40 a year. Sorry, those were last year's numbers. This year's numbers are $17.20, the same, all the way to $126.40 47 cents a year, so a 3.31% increase. The detention basins, the maintenance of those are for any weeds, anything that could get caught into the drainage of any water, because it is a detention basin, so that it doesn't flood. The city could probably provide more detail on that, as Wildan is not involved in the actual maintenance of it, but more on allocating the budget amount proportionately to the parcels. That's the general idea, to give you an idea.
And I had an additional question. Since the prices are different for each household, is there any way the council can consider having every household in the city of Livingston pay the same price, because it benefits everybody and every resident within this town and not just a certain group? Because, I mean, I live in a household where my price is much higher than some of the other homes. And I'm just saying that if their parks are open to the public and being utilized by the public, I feel like everybody should be paying a flat rate to kind of pitch in and put their fair share in. If that's something the council can consider, that would be awesome.
These specific districts are not for parks. They're for drainage, detention basin, and street improvements within the specific districts. And so only the parcels that benefit from those improvements would be assessed.
And then one more question. I'm sorry, I'm kind of rambling on, but is there any possible way now, this money that we pay, does it go into one pool that every basin can kind of pull out of, just in case if one district only pays $100, but they have to have $120 worth of work? Are they pulling out from a different district, or each district have their own set bank accounts that are only utilizing that money just for that district and that district only?
That's a very good question. Each district has its own account, so any monies collected from the property tax roll are deposited into those specific accounts only, and can only be used in those specific districts only for the improvements specified in the engineer's report, which are for drainage, detention basins, and street improvements.
Awesome. Thank you. You're very helpful.
You're most welcome.
Anybody else from the public?
Yeah. Gopal, I
I'd like
actually
to
have a
speak
question.
just a little bit on the.
Okay, hold on.
You guys,
Go ahead, Councilman Gary.
like she said, is to improve the streets. When we look at the pricing for the new development, they actually are the ones that are paying the higher amount, and those streets are brand new. It should be the opposite. We should be charging the older homes more money, because those are the streets that need the more repairs. Instead of charging something, it's like having a brand new car with a higher insurance. It's the older one that's going to break down more, not the new one.
Mr. Mayor, if I may say.
Hold on. Okay, anything else, Mr. Councilmember?
No, that'll be it.
Okay.
Rodrigo Espinoza. If I just may come and explain a little bit about the difference in the prices. The older parts of town have obviously smaller amounts because they were implemented a lot of years ago. So when I started on the council back then said, okay, we're going to allow new developments to come in, but they have to pay for themselves too. All the infrastructure is a lot more expensive. The streets, the lighting is all brand new. The old parts of town don't have as the scenery that the old parts of town. I mean, the new parts of town have them, but not the old parts of town. They have better landscaping, and so obviously that's why all the expenses, a little bit pay a lot more. Last 2 years ago, I used to live on First Street and Swan. I used to pay a lot less, but I decided that I wanted to buy a new home. So obviously, I made the decision that I wanted to pay more, and that included the lighting and landscape fees and the benefit assessments. Nobody likes taxes, but not in my opinion, if you don't want to in the future pay for any of this, then why should we pay for sales tax, that benefit police. Why should we pay for the salaries for police? This is what it comes to. If you don't want to pay any of the fees, is because we're not going to have taxes to pay. The lighting and landscaping fees. The employees that support the cleaning up, the improvements, doing the roads, doing the lighting, the landscape, the drainage, the basins, cleaning them up. If there's a flood and it clogs up, then who's going to pay? The old parts of town pay less, but they don't have the beautification of the new developments. So people talk about not being fair. I pay a lot more and I live in a new house, but I understand living in the old parts of town before that they don't pay a lot less. But hey, the streets are older. They're gonna have to pay. And there's 18 benefit assessment districts, and they all have their own pool to grab from there and fix up whatever it is, the roads. But hey, the old part of the town doesn't have one benefit assessment district. Doesn't have the beautiful lighting and the landscaping. That's why it's less, because they didn't have landscaping there to pay for or grab money from there. So and also too, the council is pushing to add more benefit assistance like businesses. So the council is asking the Gallo development and the new developments to pay benefit assessment district. So that they can fix their own, the city's gonna get that money and fix that whatever issue comes up, the landscaping, the lighting around the development, the drainage. So if you approve the development and you're not charging those, it's gonna come out of our pockets because you guys didn't implement the benefit assessment district for that development. So why should we pay that if this council did not want to put a benefit assessment district on that commercial center? And that's the deal is right here, is the new developments don't want to pay. Why should the new development pay for the old part of the town when it's they're paying a lot less? So it doesn't seem fair, but the new areas have better landscaping, better parks, better drainage ponds, and everything. So more better streets right now. But eventually, one day, when new developments come in, they're going to pay a lot more than the ones that are currently new right now. So that's just my 2 cents to this, and that's why I just wanted to bring a little bit of the old history on the benefit assessment districts. Like I said, just item 2 and 3. I think that nobody likes to pay taxes, but eventually we have to pay them. And it's just like sales tax. I don't like to pay sales tax, but we have to pay them. Otherwise, nobody gets paid. So thank you.
If I can add on to that, again, this is Wapinder King, if it's possible. I'm just the only reason I'm wondering is since we do pay it, and like Supervisor said, that we get to view it and we get to enjoy it. Well, is there any possible way to even block them off and make them a private park for that district, so they know where their money is getting spent into, and they know exactly what they're paying for and exactly what they're enjoying? Because I just feel like it's not fair that somebody has to pay for it and somebody else gets to enjoy for it. I understand that we have to pay taxes, and it's very important. I mean, I work a job that gets paid by taxes, but then at the same time, you're getting that service. You know what I mean? I love this park next to my house, but at the same time, I don't get to enjoy it. I have other people that don't live in this district that are walking at that park, and they get to enjoy it. So if that's the route we're looking at, I feel like these parks should be private to the point of where they should be just to the district and the district only, and say, hey, yes, it's gated, but this is what you're paying for. Kind of like a Melrose tax, where you have to pay this certain amount, and every household in that neighborhood is paying that same amount. But hey, this park is yours. You get to enjoy it. And I know the answer I'm going to get from a lot of people is, well, the parks are for everybody in the city of Livingston. And I agree they're for everybody in the city of Livingston. That's why everybody in the city of Livingston should pay their part and help out, because they get to enjoy them with their families as much as the people that live next door to them get to enjoy it with their families. Thank you.
I'm sorry, but Councilmember King, you're not making sense, since
it's
you're saying twice.
not a council member.
Oh, I'm sorry. Okay. Officer Kang.
Yes.
I thought it was a council member.
We have the same voice.
You know, does that mean you're going to isolate your area so you can only use, that means that you're not going to be able to use downtown Main Street, which is part of the old town. The old town is, maintaining
No, I'm
main
paying taxes for those roads that I'm driving on. I'm just saying that if these are going towards certain drainages and certain parks and stuff like that, then yes, I wouldn't mind it. I mean, if, say, Sun Valley was blocked off, I wouldn't go to Sun Valley because I have Joseph Gallo, my own park, to go to. Somebody that lives around Arcadian Park can go to Arcadian Park because they're paying taxes for that park. And I would want to enjoy a park that I'm actually paying for, not what somebody else is paying for. You know? I'm just saying, but at the same time, if we get everybody to pay a flat rate, there wouldn't be any of that. Hey, this is your park as much as it's my park, the way it is right now and the way it should be. But I just feel like everybody should be paying for the same. If you want the same service, if you want to watch the scenery, hey, drive down this road and look at these beautiful bushes that are trimmed every week, You want to have a party at one of these parks, you go to the city, pay your fee, enjoy the park, and use the barbecue grills that are provided for you. They're never denied to anybody. I just feel like, because with these increases, they're never going to stop. I mean, 3% this year, there'll probably be another 3% next year, and so forth. To the point where somebody from one of the older homes might only be paying $100 a year compared to the house that I live in, and I'm paying over almost $1,200. And this $4 might not mean anything, but then again, if it keeps going up every year and every year, it starts to add up. I feel like my property tax is going to be more expensive than my payment is going to be. And that's what's going to start forcing a lot of the Indian communities to start possibly even moving out because, yes, everybody wants to live in a new neighborhood and everything, but you don't want to get stuck paying for it for the rest of your life either. But if they don't have the option and they feel like, I'm sorry, I know I'm blabbing off, I'm almost about to be finished. But I feel like if the whole rate is the same for the whole city, there's really nowhere where you can say, well, I'm not going to stay in district, I'm going to go move in District 1. So the rates will be the same. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, anybody else from the public? If not, item is now closed to the public. Council, any further comments?
In regards to what you were talking about, Jose, reducing the amount.
The CPI.
How much, do we know how much savings that would be in all that?
Yeah, Susan, if we were to not incorporate the CPI, what would the savings be for having it versus not having it?
The savings to the property owners would range between $0 and $4.07. The impact to the city would be greater. I could open up last year's engineer's report to see what the difference is in total assessment. If you want to consider that option.
Yes, please.
Do you have this is Councilmember King again, do you have a list of which zones are not paying anything or which ones are paying the $4 a month extra? Isn't a way the ones that are not paying nothing, isn't a way can we make them pay $8 and the ones that are paying already $100 give them a break this year?
The rates are based on the.
To me, it doesn't matter if I actually own homes in 4 of the zones, so it's not like I'm trying to benefit myself. I'm just trying to be fair because I have houses on the other side of town as well as the near side of town. I just think it should be a little fair to everybody.
Yeah, the rates for each zone are based on each zone's budget, the cost of improvements with of the drainage and the detention basins and street maintenance in each particular district. So I'm going to open up last year's.
Find it, Susanna?
Sorry about that. The connection is really slow.
Okay. I have a question while you wait.
Right.
So, what happens if, I'm just talking out loud, or thinking out loud. What happens if we were to eliminate that tax? What would happen?
If we were to eliminate that, so of course, all the funding associated with the improvements and the maintaining of those facilities, we would have to find other ways to supplement the upkeep of all of that. There has been conversations in the past about the possibility of passing some citywide tax, and we have to determine what that citywide tax would be. Sales tax, that is, where you have people from the outside who are also paying into it. The quick analysis that was done is that even at 1.5% or 2 cent sales tax increase would not necessarily be enough to be able to address all of the needs. But that was something that was looked at several years ago.
I have another question. If, considering the COVID-19 situation, and I know everybody, there's a lot of stress about people's jobs and the economy, what if we were not to tax that for 1 year, like this year? What would happen? Just to give everybody a break for 1 year, what would happen?
Well, a number of things would happen there. I think Anthony can certainly give us an overview of what it would look. We would have the first thing that coming out of the gate. Keep in mind that this year the money's already there, so there won't be any changes this year. For next year, there's going to have to be limitations in terms of what can be done and what can't be done. And so, if the residents are okay with those improvements You know, our community is pretty proud of their parks and all of their landscaping. And so, based on the number of calls that we get each week, hey, you got a little brown spot here, you know, this tree got trimmed. So it's just a matter of, you know, balancing things and what the community wants and what we can afford and can't afford. So I don't know if you want to add anything to that. I mean, that'll have another impact is going to be on staff, because of course there's a labor component to all of this.
Yeah, just to speak a little bit on the effects, if we were not to have a BAD benefit assessment district budget, that's going to directly impact our ability to run our pumps. So when we do experience these precipitation events, storms, we need a pump. We need to remove the water in the basins. This pays for staff time and equipment to clean our storm drain lines, to make sure that during these precipitation events, we have the capacity to move water to the basins. To speak a little bit in regards to basin maintenance, what happens there as well is sometimes these percolation rates we just don't have the percolation rates anymore. The ponds fill up, so we have to go and disc, rip, spray, mow, applications of herbicides. That's staff time as well. And right now, and maybe Vanessa may be able to speak a little more on it if she's on the line, is that budget has been in the red, so we have been having to leverage and supplement the BAD by the wastewater enterprise.
And now
Hey, Anthony,
I was fine with.
Hey, Anthony, I got a quick question. Mr. Goggins, you know how you said, like, if there's certain developments that the increase is only going up $0, how are we going to maintain that area with nothing going on? So the city employees will go to that area and work for free compared to the new development, they're going to charge them? You know, you said the water pump needs to be serviced, they need to be run. For the zones that are getting zero increase, how are you going to be able to run those?
Hi, this is Susana Hernandez again from Moldan. Sorry about the delay. It was taking a while to bring up last year's numbers, but just to continue with answering the question about the impact, if we don't increase the district that we can by CPI, there is an impact to the property owners of $4.07 less per year. That's the biggest impact. As far as the city, it'll be a $5,087 overall impact to the amount that you could put towards the maintenance of the improvement.
Yes, I was going to put in. You know, like you said, each zone has their own accounts. They're responsible for their zones only. There's few zones, like you said, that are getting zero increasement. How are we going to be able to? How are they going to survive?
They're surviving on the amount that they can provide. So they don't enjoy the privilege of the additional maintenance that other areas do have the budget for. So it's basically the basic needs, the pumps, the most basic, and those are the ones that are in the red.
Yeah, because I actually live near a couple parks, and last winter they were looking like lakes. I think Captain Rodriguez had the videos with 10 to 15 feet of water that were there for weeks.
Yeah,
just to speak on that a little bit, Councilmember King. So during a large precipitation event, that's just too much water to move. Those pumps are only designed to move a certain capacity of volume of water. So, I mean, that's the basin is doing its job. It's holding capacity, so we have time to pump it out. Those are only designed to move so much water. And when we have large precipitation events, it just takes time to relieve that. And sometimes we have issues with our pumps. Sometimes they trip, fail. We have issues that need to get remedied, so it may take a little bit longer than normal.
Okay, thank you.
Mr. Aguilar, are you still have another question? Does any council member have any other questions? Okay, then, so what I hear from city manager and everybody is we can pass it as is, or pass it without the CPI, or not pass at all. Is that correct, Mr. Ramirez? I know he didn't say anything, but he nodded his head, so at this time, does anybody wish to make a motion of any kind?
I'll make a motion to pass the CPI.
Who made that motion? I think Suzanne can make the motion. I'm sorry, but this is not council.
I'm just kidding.
No, but the reason being, just based on the budgets, we did spend a lot of time with staff, and a lot of districts that we work with in our industry don't have that CPI because they were formed prior to Prop 218. These districts, the city has the capacity, the provision to pass with the CPI, and it's only because it's needed based on the cost.
Okay.
We have run into. We have. I'm sorry.
Just to move this thing item along now. Also, I understand that item was proposed that everybody in the city pay the same. In order for that to happen, will there be a citywide election? Each voter has to vote to increase their bill?
Yes, it will have to go on the registered voter ballot.
Yeah, and for them to do that, to pay more. So other than that, that's the only options we have. So at this time, public portion is closed, comments are closed. Council, anybody wants to make a motion at this time? All right, I'll make the motion to adopt the resolution, approve the engineer's report and levy the collection assessments conforming the diagram assessments for the fiscal year 2021 for the city of Livingston benefit system with no CPI increase. There's a motion. Is there a second? Does anybody want to make a motion without the CPI? Without the CPI.
I'll second that.
Okay, I have a motion with the second by Councilman Batista.
I'm sorry, is that with the CPI or without it?
No, without the CPI.
Without it, okay.
Okay. So, you have roll call, please?
Roll call, Councilmember Batista. Councilmember Aguilar.
No.
Councilmember King.
No.
Mayor Pro Tem Garcia. Mayor Pro Tem Garcia.
Yes. Yes.
Mayor Sama.
Yes. Motion
Motion
passed.
approved. Motion approved by a vote of 3-2.
Okay. There's a public hearing, item number 3. This is the proceeding in the Landscaping Lighting Act of 1972, California State Houses and Code 22500, to the approval of the levy annual assessment for the citywide consolidated landscaping maintenance district and consuming assessment for fiscal year 2021. Go ahead, Suzanne.
Again, these districts are similar to the benefit assessment districts, except they were formed under the 1972 Landscaping and Lighting Act. There are a total of 26 districts consisting of residential and commercial property. Landscaping and park improvements within each of the zones. Staff has worked with Wildan Financial Services to assist in the preparation of the annual engineer's report. The details of how the projects are assigned to benefit zones and the rates for each benefit zone are included in the engineer's report. Total proposed assessment for fiscal year 2021 is $710,000. On April 21, 2020, the City Council adopted resolutions and preliminarily approving the engineer's report and setting the date and time of the public hearing for today. Now, this is the day of the public hearing. The action requests the City Council open the public hearing to receive testimony. There is one resolution before City Council this evening to approve the levy and collection of assessments for the city and landscaping and lighting maintenance assessment districts. Upon conclusion of the public hearing, City staff recommends Council to adopt the resolution approving the engineer's report and setting the annual levy of assessments for fiscal year 2021. Similarly to the benefit assessment districts, there is a CPI of 3.31%. The increase to each property is between $0 and the lowest assessment is $11.44. The highest, which is for commercial property, is $846.44. If the city wishes not to implement the CPI, it would be an impact to the overall budget for the maintenance of the improvements within the districts of approximately $17,405.
Okay. Thank you, Suzanne. Just, for Jose or from Anthony, for whoever wants to answer, just what services does this district provide? Can somebody answer that? Does it pay for lighting? Can somebody answer that?
Yes.
Yes.
Districts are for lighting, landscaping, and park improvements within each of the zones.
Okay. Anthony, you have something to add?
Yeah, it pays for the, as a follow-up, pays for the lighting, the maintenance of all the L&Ds, vegetation, staff time, equipment, vehicles, herbicide applications, insecticide applications, street sweeping as well to keep those areas clean. That's all I can think of at this point.
And it also pays for street lights, correct?
That's correct.
Okay. Thank you. Council, any comments? Mr. Aguilar?
Same thing as this year's already paid for. It's pretty much affecting next year. Okay. And then the best discount we could give is not including the CPI.
Okay. Councilmember Batista? Councilmember Carey?
I have a question for Anthony again. It's the same question for the last thing. Like Almond Glen, like Avenue Almond Glen compared to Monte Cristo, what are they paying for? Do you guys have like a rough number? House on that side of town compared to a house on like Monte Cristo or Winewood, Bridgeport would be paying? Can I get a yearly number?
So now you have those numbers?
The question was breaking up. I couldn't hear.
On the street, like,
question?
on the street, like Almond Glen, Olds Avenue, or 8th Street, what are they paying? What are they paying compared to like the Sunset Valley?
You would have to get addresses to verify.
I don't have address. I just use two street name. I don't have addresses.
If you want to provide your phone number, I could call you back with the information after I talk to you with more information.
Okay, I just had somebody text me the address. 1623 9th Street.
And what is your phone number so I can call you back with that?
Well,
or if you want to send an email to, I don't know how the city
I kind of want to get it before we make a vote. I'm actually one of the council members.
Oh, okay.
And the second address would be 923 Parkview Drive. Like, what are the difference between those two houses? How much is those houses paying?
Let me check. For some reason that parcel number's not coming up for 1623 9th Street.
Can you do a neighbor's house? Just anybody's house on that street?
Let me look at just 9th Street.
Mayor?
Yes, go ahead, sir. Go ahead.
Yes, this is Vanessa Portillo, Finance Director. I believe that that information we can actually, not specific to the address, but for the question that is being asked, the Almond Glen, the assessment that is being charged for those units is $81.14. It's actually part of the engineer's report. And we can, if we look at the engineer's report, page 11, it is, there is the list of each one of the assessment districts and how much we're charging and which assessment district has a CPI incorporated in it and which one doesn't. So I can see from the engineer's report that Almond Glen, the assessment is $81.14, and there's no annual escalator for it at this moment. I believe they also had a question for Country Glen, and give me 1 second. For the Country Glen, that assessment looks, it's $52.64, and there is also no escalator on it.
No, Vanessa, you did both older homes. Can you do like the newer homes from the Sun Valley development? Those are the same, around the same neighborhood.
Is that the Sundance?
Yes.
Sundance Development, there is we have two districts. One of them, it is $126, I can see.
Sun Valley.
What is the highest district you have?
It's breaking up. 1 second.
Vanessa, this is Anthony. It looks like Somerset is 480.34. That's Sun Valley.
So is that the highest?
I'm still looking on page 11, and correct me if I'm wrong.
Country Lane.
It'll be Country Lane, Kishi, which is $874.47. That's per EDU.
So that's my question. So somebody that's paying $800 compared to somebody paying $100, are the light bulbs different size? Are they consuming more electricity? Are the parks getting better water? Like, it doesn't make sense.
The only change there would be there may be more light bulbs in that area.
To make almost 7 times more the higher rate for extra light bulb on one block per each household? So the average difference in between certain streets compared to newer home is what, $700 a year, right? Roughly, I could be off $50 or so. So we're getting the same service.
That is correct.
Thank you, guys.
Okay. Any other questions, Mr. Councilmember Khan?
No, that'll be it.
Okay. Councilmember Batista, any questions? Mayor Pro Tem? Hello, Mayor Pro Tem, are you good?
Negative.
No questions? Okay. This item is now open to the public. Does anybody from the public wish to speak on this item?
Hi, yes, this is Jose Moran. Can you hear me?
Go ahead, Mr. Moran.
Hi, I have a couple of questions. I know that they already mentioned what is covered in this fee as far as maintenance, but if you can, or if someone can go ahead and repeat that again so that more people are aware what is included. And I'm also kind of confused that I'm looking at page 11 of the report, which has all the different zones and descriptions and EDUs. And if someone can explain to me how, I mean, on the regular EDU, for instance, on number 3, which is country roads, goes from 200 down to 8122. Is that based on the assumption that there's going to be less maintenance applied to the country roads, or for instance on once again, on Somerset, which is Sun Valley, which is where I live, goes from 133 all the way up to 480 and 34 cents. And the same goes for number 19, which is Country Lane 2, which is Kishi, from 157 to all the way up to 874 and 47 cents. Thank you.
I could explain that. Page 11 shows the districts that are being assessed. The EDUs are, it stands for equivalent dwelling units. So it's basically the actual, each residential property. So, for example, in Almond Glen, the first one, there's 84 residential properties, and each one is being assessed $81.14. So that's what the EDU means. It's just the number of properties in each zone.
Okay, Mr. Moran, any other questions?
No, that makes more sense. Thank you.
Hi, this is Rod. Oh.
Okay, any other public comments?
Yes, Walpinder King, 657 Clara Court.
Go ahead.
Same questions, just as the basin ones. That how are we justifying that a certain neighborhood is only paying $80 compared to the other neighborhood paying about 7 times that maximum amount? When again they're getting the same lighting from the same source, the bill is the same again. And then another question was, I heard you guys mention in the last one that you would have to get this put on a ballot. Is there any way we can be explained how to get this on a ballot so the citizens of Livingston can actually vote on it and see exactly if they want to eliminate this tax or if they want a flat rate for each resident? So again, same concept. We're all getting the same lighting, same volts. You know, I'm actually walked outside just to see how many street lights are on Briarwood, and I'm only counting 3 for the whole roadway. And I'm assuming that Old Avenue or Almond Glen is probably going to have 3 lighting all as well, but it doesn't make sense that they only pay $80. And in my neighborhood, I'm paying $400 plus. This doesn't make sense to me. If you guys can explain that a little bit.
Okay, Susanna?
The rates are based on each of the individual districts' total maintenance for the improvements. It doesn't include only lights. It also includes landscaping and parks. So each of these zones' budget is divided by the total of number of residential parcels to arrive at the rate.
But I thought in our last one we said that they weren't parks, they were basins. So are they parks or basins?
The other ones, they have
Okay, is there a way to determine which ones are classified as actual parks and which ones are classified as actual basins? Because I'm sorry, I don't want to be paying tax for a storage tank for water. I mean, I don't mind it being dirt. You fence it off and dirt it, so I don't have to pay for it, and somebody has to maintain it. See, that's where we keep getting thrown off because, yeah, because we keep getting thrown off because when it comes to the water, we're referring to them as basins, but when we go to money-wise, we refer to them as parks.
On the previous one, there was discussion about parks, but on the previous, which were the benefit assessment districts, you don't pay for parks. It's just for detention basins, which are the basins where the water flows to temporarily.
No, I understand that, Suzanne.
Okay. Oh, okay.
I understand that portion, but I'm just saying, in the last one when we were referring to the tax and the raising of it or whatever, we were referring to half of the portion of a park to a basin, basically is what it is. It's a basin. But now this one, where it comes to, again, LMDs, and we're going, again, trying to raise taxes on maintenance of parks, But at the same time, we shouldn't be maintaining basins. We should be only maintaining parks, correct? But if they're considered basins and not parks, then these rates should not be going up. Because I'm sorry, but the home on Old Avenue's water is going to the same sewage plant that my house water is going to, the same sewage plant, or the same wastewater treatment plant. It goes down to the same piping at the end of the day, bottom of these roads. Just because it drops into a certain drainage compared to some from the other side doesn't make a difference. I mean, that water doesn't know, or our wastewater treatment plant doesn't know that, hey, this water is from Old Avenue, so they only paid this much, but this one is from Briarwood. We're going to, you know what I mean? At the end of the day, it's going to the same spot through the same piping. But I'm just doesn't understand is why certain houses are paying more than others. Should be a flat rate. Thank you.
Thank you. Anybody else from the public?
Rodrigo Espinoza here. Mr. Mayor, I think that, there's a lot of questions that the public and the council should have known before this meeting. I think that if we had had a public meeting about the education of the benefit assessment districts and the lighting landscaping, if people wanted to abandon these and have the public vote in a different way, I think that it's best to educate the public and rather than ask questions that take a long time. I'm not trying to sound negative here, but I think the education is the best way because there's still council members and the public that don't understand how they work and how the assessment districts work and what each district covers and why they're charging as low as they are because they were formed a long time ago compared to the new ones.
Those questions.
I'm talking right here. Yeah, I'm talking right now.
Mr. Kang and Mr. Espinoza is not speaking. Thank you very much.
No, I understand that I think he's getting confused thinking that Councilmember Kang is asking those questions when it's...
No, I understand that you were talking now. But that's why I said the council members and the public.
Mr. Kang, you already spoke, please, and Ms. Espinoza speak.
I understand.
I was just trying to educate the council and the public that we should have had a public meeting so that way people know how the benefit assessment districts work and why the difference in all the numbers. Because I think that to try to do away with them right now would be, to me, irresponsible because in light of pandemic, there's not going to be no revenues coming down the line as previously, and there's possibly a lot of layoffs going to happen, and who knows if we're going to be able to upkeep everything and all the services in the district and the county. That's just my I'm just trying to provide you information, not get into it with anybody. I think there should be more education before we move to remove any of the fees from the communities and all the assessment districts. Like I said, there's different years that they came in. That's why, and then there's different services for each benefit district. And so I'll just stay with that. Thank you.
Thank you. Anybody else from the public? If not, public portion is now closed. Council, any further comment? Okay, does anybody want to make a motion at this time?
I make a motion for the proceedings under the Landscape and Lighting Act of 1972, California Streets and Highway Code 22500, for the approval to levy annual assessments to the citywide Consolidated Landscape Maintenance District, Assessment District Number 1, and confirming assessments for fiscal year 2020-2021.
I have a motion by Councilwoman Batista. Do I have a second? I will second that motion, ma'am. Roll call, please. Without the CPI.
Roll call. Councilmember Batista? Yes. Councilmember Aguilar?
No.
Councilmember King?
No.
Mayor Pro Tem Garcia?
No.
Mayor Summer?
Yes.
The motion failed by a vote of 3-2.
Okay, does anybody wish to make an alternate motion? Okay, if not, we'll move on to citizen comments. Members of the public wishing to address the city council will be given the same amount of time, 3 minutes, as normally allowed for a meeting subject to the provisions of the executive. This session of the agenda allows the members of the public to address the city council on any item not otherwise on the agenda. Members of the public will recognize the mayor should come forward to identify themselves. Comments will be limited to 3 minutes in accordance with the state open meeting law. No action will be taken by city council this evening for the items which are on the agenda this evening. Members of the public will be provided an opportunity to address the council. Does anybody wish to address, make citizen comment at this time? Hey, Anthony, can you just phone over, please? No, it failed, so we're done.
I'm sorry to interrupt, Mayor. I think that maybe we could also finish the discussion. I know that motion didn't pass, but I think staff is still looking for direction on what to do with that assessment. Whether they're going to submit it exactly the same as what it is now, and which is pretty much the no CPI is exactly what it is now, or what alternative? What are we submitting to the county?
Okay, we'll have to have the staff come back with that one, because if it doesn't pass, then we don't collect.
That's what we would have to come back with, and having more of a discussion on what that would mean. And I know Susanna would be helping out with that.
Thank you.
So there's no way we can leave it the way it was last year?
So
that was the motion without the CPI.
I would have that discussion.
That's what it was. Do you, we can bring it back if somebody wishes to make another motion. After citizen comment,
since it didn't pass, I say we leave it as it is.
Well, right now we can. We're in a citizen comment, Councilmember Kang. What I'll do is after citizens comment, I can bring it back out for a revisit at this time.
No, it's okay. Since it didn't pass, I think we should leave it alone.
You do not want to revisit?
No, I'm okay. We have next year to figure it out.
Okay. Thank you. Okay, citizen comments still. Go ahead, please.
This is a letter that was given to me, and after I read it.
Can you move a little closer to the mic?
Not like this?
There you go.
This is a letter that was given to me by Sarah Martin. The City Council recently Atwater, California declared themselves a sanctuary city and let all businesses open. Merced County Sheriff Ben Warden declared his department will not enforce any of the state of California shelter requirements. Parallax and Merced both stores do not.
Hold on a second. We're going to restart the clock for you. We can't hear you.
Like this? What about here? Like that? Okay.
There you go.
Now we're good? How's this? Should I start from the beginning?
Yeah, go ahead.
Recently, Atwater, California declared themselves a sanctuary city and let all businesses open. Merced County Sheriff Vern Warnke declared his department will not enforce any of the state of California shelter requirements. Turlock and Merced grocery stores do not require masks. I am not here to advise on how effective or ineffective masks are. I would like to find out who is advising the City Council on their stricter than California rules. Do you have a city health officer? Any business can decide on their own whether they want to require masks or not. I do not think the city should be mandating it. Whether valid or not, there is a large segment of the population who will not wear a mask. I, for one, when given a choice, will choose to shop at a store that does not require them. I personally have chosen not to shop in Livingston. I have spoken to other citizens who feel the same way. I feel the rules you have initiated now are putting Livingston businesses at a disadvantage, especially when compared to nearby Atwater, Delhi, or Turlock. I also have dine-in dinner reservations for Friday night, something that would warrant a fine in Livingston. Also, the flashing signs on Witten Parkway stating masks are required might as well be telling people to turn around and go to Atwater or Turlock. It is about as unwelcome as can be. Geraldine Martin, Vinewood Avenue, Livingston, California. So that was the letter that was given to me to read. And then I have a question for the city attorney. My question to the city attorney is this: is there anything that would legally prevent the elected city clerk of Livingston to read letters on behalf of citizens that cannot be at a council meeting?
So if I understand the question, is there anything preventing the city clerk, the elected city clerk, from reading letters?
Correct. Correct. For people who are, for whatever reason, unable to be at a city council meeting, so that they could either, they could email their questions or their comments to the city, and the city clerk can read them one by one.
There is nothing that says that's illegal. So nothing prohibiting that.
Nothing prohibiting? Thank you.
Thank you very much. Okay, anybody else with written comment? If not, then I'm sorry.
Okay.
Oh, Mr. Allen, I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Yes, I've kind of said a few things earlier. Again, I'm Pastor Routon, church here in Livingston, and I do thank City Manager Ramirez for working with the businesses to see that they can get open as soon as possible. And I'm thankful for Livingston and what we do here. And I know we're part of Merced County, such as Atwater and Merced, Livingston, and Delhi. And I don't know how Stanislaus County, Madera County, or Fresno County are doing part of this COVID-19. But like I mentioned earlier, we have guidelines set by the state, and that's fine. And I think if we're meeting those guidelines as you're going out to the businesses saying, hey, what are you doing to be in adherence to the safety guidelines, and they show you and tell you they got a plan, and if they present that plan, I don't know, this is my own thinking, why we can't go back and say, look, this is what we've got. I've talked to businesses. They're meeting these standards. They give me guidelines. Why can't they open? Now, we know one size can't fit all. We know that. But I know President Woodrow Wilson said, the only thing we have to fear is fear itself.
spiritual retreat instead of advancing. And again, I'm gonna get about the churches again, because I understand what the mayor's saying. We all want to go worship as we please, but to me, I think it's more than that. I think it's unconstitutional. If a church is meeting its requirements for safety standards, which I agree, they should be able to open. This is worship. This is the essential service, especially now with people having anxieties, suicides, and everything else. So we really need to look at and push the state and say, look, this is what we're doing in Livingston, California, and we should be able to open. If they meet all the standards and we see that they're meeting, they give me a plan, we want to open. I think I want to say to push the state and have us be open. Thank you.
Thank you. Does anybody else from the public wish to make a comment at this time? Susan, comment?
Hi, yes, this is Jose Moran, 945 Parkview Drive, Livingston, California. I just want to take the moment to say thank you to the City of Livingston, their staff, and the support of the City Council for all of the guidelines that, independent from the county or what the state is recommending, the City of Livingston has taken the leadership in setting standards for what would be best or safer for its entire community. I do agree that a section of our community, does not agree with everything that the council or the city has ever done, and that is normal. But looking at the big picture, we have to look at what is best for most part of the community, and obviously, if we had 100% support, then to me, then that means something is wrong. But it's okay. It's okay to have, because that's normal. It is normal to not have 100% agreement, but I do believe that the city and its management are doing the right thing for the bigger part of the community. Thank you.
Thank you. Anybody else? Citizen comment? If not, then the citizen comment portion is now closed. Move on to the consent agenda. Items on the consent calendar considered routine and non-controversial will be enacted by one vote, unless there's separate actions requested by the city manager or city council member. There will be no separate discussion of these items unless a member of the city council or city manager requests that speaker be removed. Number 4, approve the warrants registered dated May 14th. Approve the minutes meeting held on April 7th. Approve the minutes meeting held on April 21. Number 7, resolution declaring an intention to annex territory into the community facility district and to authorize the levy of special taxes thereon. The City of Livingston Community Facility District number 2017-1, Public Services, and section number 1. Number 8, resolution authorizing city manager to enter into the Measure V Regional Project Funding Agreement on the Highway 99 Wing Parkway on-ramp widening project between the City of Livingston and Merced County. Association of Governments, I'm sorry. So at that time, does anybody wish to pull any item for discussion, council? If not, I will entertain a motion at this time. Does anybody wish to make a motion?
I'll make a motion to approve the consent agenda.
I have a motion by Councilman Batista. Do I have a second? I will second that motion. May I have a roll call, please?
Roll call. Councilmember Baptista? Yes. Councilmember Aguilar?
Yes.
Councilmember Kane?
Yes.
Mayor Person Garcia?
Yes.
Mayor Summer?
Yes.
Motion approved by a vote of 5-0.
Okay, thank you. Going on to discussing a potential action item. This is a police department towing rotation ordinance discussion and direction. Sir, Mayor?
Yes. Mayor, Council. This particular item was put on the agenda because there's been some discussion on what we wanted to revisit. There's been some discussion about revisiting the actual police department towing rotation ordinance. I'm pretty sure that Brandon was here to talk on the item, but I guess he had to leave. But bottom line is, the whole idea here is to basically look at the ordinance, to get some direction from council if we should modify it or leave it alone or give some other different direction.
Okay. Council, any discussion? Does anybody wish to make a comment about this item? To me, I think we need to revisit this item. Look at what other cities have done, like Atwater, Turlock, you said. So basically, what I'm asking for is a direction from staff to have this item brought back with an ordinance for a look at and a visit. So I was asking council to authorize them moving forward to bring this item. So anybody have any discussion at this time or comments? Mr. Aguilar?
So what, okay, so we're looking at number 9, right? The police department car rotation ordinance?
Yes.
What's the current status, or what's the current, do you have any specifics about that? Or is it just a discussion to bring it back with that information?
Okay. What I'm asking for is to bring in what the current ordinance is, what others have done, so we could discuss to see if there's any desire to visit, check out, or to make any changes. So I'm asking direction for the staff to move forward at this time to bring back for future discussion.
Yeah, when's the last time we looked at it, or has it ever been like that?
Chris, do you recall when was the last time that the phone rotation was looked at here in the city of Livingston? July 2016?
That was a policy, not council direction, correct? That was a policy from the police department, correct? But, okay. So we just wanted to bring back what it is and for future discussions, see if there's any need or at least look at it.
Yeah, I mean, I think whenever we have the opportunity to discuss or get information or improve on what we have, yeah, definitely. So I'm in support of that.
Okay, Councilman Batista?
I agree, being that we're looking at it with wide eyes, bring it back.
Councilman Tang?
Yeah, I agree with all you guys. We should definitely look at it.
Mayor Pro Tem?
Yes, I agree.
Okay. And for me, I also agree. So staff, you have the direction. Please bring back what the current ordinance is. Look at some of like Merced, Turlock, and others, so we can have a discussion at a later time. Okay? All right, council, any further discussion? If not, I want to thank everybody for staying on, and we are in adjournment. Thank you very much.